A steak knife cuts through the piece of meat, and just as the boy was about to put the food in his mouth, he heard his name called out, Mitrov, along with instructions to leave the house. This chubby kid is none other than Mitrov de Bonsankai, the third son of the Count's family. His father, Lord Rosebuff de Bonsankai, stands across from him, arms crossed, looking at his chubby son with a sigh. The Bonsankai patriarch begins lecturing Mitrov on how he lacks even the slightest sense of discipline and dignity despite being born into nobility. In his eyes, all the boy could think about was food, food and more food. The sight of Mitrov's bloated body, especially his belly and face, is enough to stress the older man. It's disgraceful. Just the other day, the Marquis hors d'oeuvres called Rosebuff over and told the latter that his son is a wise troll. He's got some nerve insulting our boy when he's named after an appetizer, huh? Lord Rosebuff laments how he had failed to set his son straight despite trying so many times. He frowns upon Mitrov's insatiable gluttony, which is why he can no longer acknowledge the boy as a member of this family. Mitrov simply asks his father up front if he's being disowned. The latter adds that it depends on how the boy will conduct himself from now on. Mitrov remains unfazed at the gravity of his situation, while the older grits his teeth and throws something across the table. Mitrov eyes the item, asking what it is, to which his father says it's a permit to enter the labyrinth. According to him, this is also Mitrov's last chance of redemption, instructing his son to go there and fulfill his duty as a noble. This is his father's task for him: enter the labyrinth and prove that he can stand on his own, or never return again. Instead of feeling scared or worried, again Mitrov just sighs and doesn't seem to care about the gravity of his situation at all. So his father continues scolding him, reminding the boy how his eldest brother is out there traveling the land and learning what it takes to inherit the family title. His second brother, on the other hand, works as a royal scribe and builds his future at the capital. And yet here is Mitrov, who has not done a single thing. He has no passion, no ambition, and no discipline. The fact that he does nothing all day but eat and lays around like a good-for-nothing infuriates his father to no end. Lord Rosebuff has had enough of his competence. He orders his son to pack his belongings and leave the house immediately. And if by some miracle Mitrov proves himself in the labyrinth, only then can he return home. Our MC stands from his seat and gives a 90-degree bow to his father, thanking the latter for everything he has done for him. Without any qualms or complaints, the boy turns, saying he'll head to the labyrinth now. As soon as Mitrov reaches his room, he notices a neatly packed suitcase on his table. So this is their way of telling him to leave, huh? The day has finally come for him to leave the comforts of his room, taking one last look at it. While doing so, he thinks about how he already knew this day would come sooner rather than later. Mitrov is aware that he's not as talented as his brothers, and in this family the third son is nothing but an afterthought. No matter how much he struggled, their father would know there's no use dwelling on the past now. He needs to focus on what he needs to bring to survive in the labyrinth. So far his father left him with clothes, books, and a dagger, things that were never truly his. They were just given to him out of duty, not care, which is why he has no plans on bringing them with him. Mitrov opens his drawer and opts to bring this one instead. It's the one thing that truly matters to him. This is a handkerchief his kind and gentle mother gave him before she passed. Mitrov decides that he'll carry this around as his lucky charm. As for the other thing, he draws the curtain back and retrieves his sword. With only these two items, he believes he's ready to go. Mitrov rushes outside, takes one last look at his home, then heads straight to town. He reaches the town of Kaiwizin soon enough, and he stands admiring the town center since it's his first time there. Sure, he had an idea that there would be a lot of people, but not quite like this. Soon enough he spots the Labyrinth Guild. There, he registers himself and is surprised to discover how fast the process is. The guild receptionist hands him his card and tells him that new adventurers are required to attend a basic training session. He's not allowed to skip it. The next thing Mitrov realizes, he's attending the mandatory basic training session, handled by a dark-haired guild staff. First she explains the basics of the labyrinth, starting with its history. Truthfully speaking, no one really knows what the labyrinth is, and yet for decades adventurers have risked their lives exploring its depths, all in search of one thing. The thing they're searching for are terrifying creatures that rule over the labyrinth's territory deep within the labyrinth. Monsters. The creatures' materials are worth a fortune. The Labyrinth Guild will purchase as many as Mitrov can bring at any price, which is why adventurers risk their lives in the labyrinth to gather materials and make a living. She warns him that monsters appear out of nowhere, so he should never drop his guard, even for a second, because if he does, then he's dead. Mitrov asks if the labyrinth really is that dangerous. She affirms that it is correct. On the bright side, she tells him that's exactly what makes it so full of possibility. With that, she concludes the basic introduction to the labyrinth and continues with the other agenda. Meanwhile, Mitrov's mind is still stuck on what she had just said. How can they make it sound so casual? The poor boy absolutely had no idea what he was walking into. He wandered into the guild with no real plan and just went with the flow. Unlike him, most if not all of the adventurers there right now challenge the labyrinth knowing they could die at any moment because that's the only way to earn a living. Wait a minute. That's it. Resolve. That's the thing he needs the most here. From today onward, he's no longer a noble but an adventurer. Later that night, Mitrov finds a local inn and lies straight into bed. Not gonna lie, his bed is hard as a rock. He looks up at an unfamiliar ceiling, a broken window, and crumbling walls. He hears the voice of his father inside his head, expecting great things from him, an earlier memory. Back when his father treated him differently, the boy recalls the time the former told him that he was gifted with natural physical prowess. As such, it is his duty as a noble to rise as a knight commander. As a kid, of course, he was more than happy to follow whatever course his father wanted him to. From such a young age, Mitrov was trained in swordsmanship in preparation for joining the Knight Order. His father even hired a private knight instructor for him, with his teacher commending him for delivering such a clean strike during one of their sparring sessions. Additionally, the older man also told the young Mitrov that he has the talent for the sword. If he keeps pushing, then eventually Lord Rosebuff will acknowledge him. From the get-go, his teacher expressed full belief in him, urging Mitrov to prove himself and show his father what he's capable of. With those words in mind, Mitrov trained relentlessly, hoping his father would acknowledge him. Then, one day at the Marquise's tea party, he was invited to a mock duel against their heir. Of course, our boy defeated the other boy with ease. Excited with his victory, Mitrov returns home, thinking his father will praise him. Unfortunately, he was met with a hard slap across the face. The poor boy hasn't even realized what just happened when Lord Rosebuff starts scolding him, asking why he didn't lose on purpose. With what he did, Mitrov does not have an idea how much trouble he has caused his father, who even called his son a shameless brat. That day, Mitrov was scolded more than ever before. It wasn't the first, and it most certainly wouldn't be the last. And yet he never understood what he did wrong that day. All he ever wanted was his father's approval and to see him smile. This is why the boy devoted himself to his studies and trained relentlessly in martial arts. Mitrov believed that if he worked hard enough, his father would finally recognize him. But, looking back, was that even possible? Maybe from the very start, Lord Rosebuff only had expectations for his brothers and not for himself. Left feeling frustrated and lost, he turned to the only thing that never rejected him: food. So Mitrov ate and slept until eventually, laziness consumed him. Before he knew it, his body had become what it is now. Just thinking about all of these now just made him think that he should eat something now. He buys a piece of bread and meat and makes himself a sandwich. Yep, it tastes bad, but what else can he do? He needs to get used to this from now on. Stale bread and tough chicken meat with a lingering stench. Plus, it's not like he has much money left anyway. He's left with no choice but to head inside the labyrinth and make money. There's that lingering thought that if he goes, he might die there since no one's going to save him. When that realization hit, the poor boy started bawling his eyes out. So this is it, huh? They really abandoned him. But his crying session got cut short because not a minute later, someone started banging on the walls, telling him to shut up. So like any kid forced to grow up, he wipes his tears, knowing he has nowhere to go. At the very least, he needs to find a way to earn enough money to survive. He stares at the permit, thinking that if he achieves something in the labyrinth, then maybe he can return home. Well, what else is there to do but head to the labyrinth first thing tomorrow? The next day is Mitrov's second day as an adventurer. Finally, he has arrived at the labyrinth. Looking around, he notices a lot of people are there, making it almost feel like a night market. He supposes that with this many people, there must be fewer monsters around. As such, reaching the second floor was too easy. Soon enough, Mitrov finds himself at the entrance of the second floor. Just looking at it, he could tell that the air here is completely different from above. The upper floors were crowded, but here it feels eerily empty. As an adventurer, he needs to find something valuable to earn money. He remembers the guild staff's warning that monsters appear out of nowhere and that he should never drop his guard. But other than that, there's one more thing. The second floor is where countless novice adventurers meet their end. As fate would have it, our boy Mitrov chanced upon a goblin on his first day here. He flinches back because he didn't expect to stumble into a goblin's nest. Mitrov can feel it instinctively. This goblin wants to kill him. That thought alone is pretty terrifying. And all of a sudden, the monster lunges at him. Mitrov makes a run for it. But as expected, the monsters are easily catching up to him. He has heard stories about them, but he never imagined he'd encounter this many at once. As he kept running, Mitrov found himself at a dead end, with a group of goblins right before him. He shakily raises his sword, telling them to back off, but this is just a poor attempt at keeping them at bay. His body is paralyzed with fear, and he can't move. This is how novice adventurers die, isn't it? Is this how his miserable existence ends? That he'll be chewed apart before he even gets the chance to accomplish anything? One of the goblins lunges at him, and it makes him think that this is the end. This is how his life is. Nothing but dull and meaningless. It's no big deal. He has always been alone anyway. No one would notice if he died, and no one would grieve him. Although these depressing thoughts flood his mind, Mitrov still clutches his sword tightly. Just why is it that he still refuses to give up? He closes his eyes and braces for the incoming attack, but lo, an arrow pierces through the goblin's head. The next time Mitrov opens his eyes, he sees all the goblins collapsed on the floor, dead. Just then he hears an unfamiliar voice, asking if he's a novice adventurer. A girl stands before him, with unusually sharp ears and braided hair, asking if he's unharmed. At that moment Mitrov didn't realize that meeting her would change the course of his life forever. The life he thought had ended, and now it's about to open new possibilities. The girl approaches Mitrov, asking if he's alright, then turns back to check if there are other goblins. Our boy stares at her in disbelief at how she saved him. This girl carries a short bow and has a quiver strapped across her back. A fur cloak drapes over her shoulder, which is the typical attire of a forest hunter, so she's a forest dweller. But what stood out the most were her pointed ears. Could she be an elf? Mitrov calls out to her, thanking her for saving his life. It's not a big deal for the girl. Besides, inside the labyrinth everyone should help each other out, right? Mitrov points out that not everyone would go out of their way to save a stranger just as she did, highlighting how much of a good person she is. The girl is pleased to hear that, because she is proud to be a kind elf after all. But more important than that, she leans closer and tells him that dying in a place like this would be a waste. With that, she urges our hero to be careful before taking her leave. As soon as she's gone, Mitrov ponders a bit over what she had just said, and she's right about that. His father's words echo in his mind, reminding him how it's still fresh that he was cast out from the family estate. He may not have any talents like his older brothers, and no one expects anything from him. But even so, Mitrov believes he has the right to decide his fate. With that said, he'll fight for it with everything he has. He takes a deep breath and continues exploring the labyrinth, one step at a time. Soon enough he encounters goblins again. That's not surprising considering low-level monsters like them are everywhere in the labyrinth. Our hero draws his sword and tries to calm himself. This is just one monster. He can handle it. But there's always that lingering doubt making him question himself. How could he not do so, especially since he's facing death right in the face again? What if he freezes up like before and can't move a single step? The goblin attacks him head-on and he barely manages to evade it. Crap, it's because his body feels so heavy and he can't move like he used to. Back when he was actively training in swordsmanship, his teacher told him that timing is everything in battle. The latter explains that no matter how skilled Mitrov's technique is, it will be useless if he can't land a hit. Finding the right moment to strike is crucial, and if he ever feels unsure, just count 1, 2, 3. According to his teacher, once Mitrov gets used to it, his body will move on instinct, and the moment his blade makes contact with his opponent, driving the strike with his whole body is a must. This is one of his teacher's important lessons, letting his body's momentum power his swing. Putting force behind his swing will be enough to cut down most enemies. Remembering how his sword teacher drilled these techniques and advice into him made him realize that speed isn't everything. Even if he lacks speed, he can kill if he lets his blade flow and aims for a vital spot. Mitrov and the goblin square up at a safe distance from each other, as the former makes a mental note to catch the right timing. Most importantly, he must not waver. He needs to remain calm, steady his grip, and start counting once the goblin charges at him. No sooner had the words left his mouth than the monster surged toward him. Mitrov immediately starts counting, and in 3 seconds flat he pierces through the goblin's head. The monster collapsed, bloody, on the ground. He did it. He really won. In those 3 seconds it felt like time slowed just before he moved. But once the goblin lunged, everything was over in an instant. He carefully approaches the monster's carcass, and yep, it's dead alright. A moment decided who would live and who would die, and if he wants to survive as an adventurer then he needs to stop hesitating. With that, our boy cuts off the goblin's ears as proof of his kill and slumps to the floor right after. Mitrov is exhausted, but on the bright side he's surprised that the water tastes incredible. So this is it, the first pair of goblin ears he has ever collected. It's not much, but it should at least cover his next meal at the guild. This is enough adventuring for today. As he stands, he sees 2 adventurers running straight to him, eager to get away from something. Just what in the world is going on? As they run away, one of the guys tells him that a stray kobold had just wandered from deeper inside, urging Mitrov to run if he doesn't want to die. At the moment, an elf is fighting that kobold, but from the looks of it, she may not last long. Wait, an elf? Mitrov quickly bolts in the opposite direction, running straight into danger. It's gotta be her. He runs as fast as he can, thinking about how she saved him, obviously showcasing the disparity in their strength. Sure, even if he goes there he might be completely useless, but the girl dying in a place like this would be pointless, and that's exactly why he can't abandon her. Our boy only prays that he makes it in time. Deeper into the dungeon, it's as the guy said, the she-elf really is busy fighting the kobold. She fires her arrow, which the monster easily evades. The monster raises his blades and attacks her, which she manages to evade. She can't believe she's already struggling this much considering she's only on the 2nd floor. This kobold is pretty strong. She didn't expect the monster to be so troublesome. What's even more concerning is that her arrows can't keep up with its speed. She needs to find a way to slow it down a bit. Her brief pause was enough for the monster to move closer to her, its sword raised high ready to cut her down. Crap, she can't dodge it in time. But to the she-elf's surprise, Mitrov arrives in the nick of time and parries the attack. Hey, it's that guy from before! She panics, urging him to run away because it's dangerous. To that Mitrov rebuts, aren't we supposed to work together in the labyrinth? The girl explains that this is no mere monster, it's a kobold. Normally it appears on the 4th floor, so this beast is way beyond their level. They can't defeat it. Right now it has its eyes set on her, so she urges him again to escape while he can. Mitrov asks her what kind of self-sacrifice that is. He may not be as brave or strong as she, but she taught him something important, it's to never give up. Mitrov firmly tells her that they still have a fighting chance if they work together. She's stunned, he really is a good human. If she says it like that, then Mitrov might be exactly that. But more importantly, dying here would be a waste, right? The girl gets into position, ready to face the kobold. With this, she agrees to fight together with Mitrov. The two now form a tag team to fight the kobold together. They did so just in time for the monster to lunge at them. Mitrov blocks its attack, and the pressure of the blow somewhat knocks the monster off balance. Chance. Our hero uses this opportunity to thrust his sword at the kobold, but the monster easily blocks it with its bare arm. It counters, and Mitrov barely manages to evade it. Seeing what just happened, the girl tells Mitrov that they should fall back for now and hide. She creates a barrier blocking the enemy from seeing them, giving the two a short reprieve. Well, now what? Mitrov asks if they should retreat, but the girl says running away won't solve anything. Not to worry, our boy Mitrov actually has a plan, though he's not quite sure if it will work. Still, he needs her help to execute it. With her archery skills, she should be able to stop its movements. So the plan is this: Mitrov will draw its attention while the girl takes aim and shoots it down. The girl is a little impressed because not too long ago Mitrov was trembling before a goblin. But yeah, she'll go along with his plan. Given that they only have one shot at this, she's putting all her trust in him. Our hero immediately puts it into action, stepping out of their hiding place and calling the kobold's attention. His taunting works and the monster starts running after him. Naturally, Mitrov breaks into a run for it, thinking that if the girl's arrow lands and stops the kobold's movement, they might actually win this. On the downside, one wrong move and he could die. Still, this plan of his to become the bait is the best he can do to be useful right now. The kobold slashes our hero, but it hits the ground instead. With the monster's sword still down, Mitrov counters and slashes it directly, and yet his cut was too shallow. Still, he keeps at it, thinking that he needs to keep the monster's focus on him. Suddenly, Mitrov feels something. On instinct, he jumps out of the way just as an arrow pierces through the kobold's chest. The girl did it. She tells him to finish it off, and Mitrov finally delivers the finishing blow and successfully cuts the kobold down. The monster collapses on the ground with a thud, so Mitrov gingerly approaches it. Yep, it's dead all right. The girl suddenly hugs Mitrov from behind, ecstatic because they actually did it. Thanks to Mitrov, she's alive, and for that she owes him one. Being the modest guy that he is, Mitrov downplays what he did, but the girl insists that he did a lot. In fact, the proof that he took it down is right here, urging him to look at his body. Mitrov stares at his hand and sees a glowing light. The girl says it might hurt a bit, but he should endure it. Just then, Mitrov feels his body feeling hot. What is this numbness? It's spreading all over his body. The girl asks her how he feels, and before he could answer, she explained that it's called sublimation. Sometimes, when an adventurer kills a monster in the labyrinth, their body transforms. The transformation could be a physical power-up or mental fortification. The way it manifests varies from person to person, but in essence, it just means that Mitrov has moved to a higher state of being. Upon hearing that, he asks if it's like a small evolution, though he doesn't really see or feel any difference from before. Unfortunately, the girl doesn't fully understand it either, but what she knows is that his body needs time to adapt to the changes caused by sublimation. If anything, he'll probably feel the change by tomorrow. But sublimation aside, the girl thanks him again. She's impressed because he moved at the perfect moment and cleared the way for the arrow to hit the mark. So she asks if he knew she was actually aiming there. Mitrov says that he just had a feeling. He has always been overly aware of people's stares ever since he was a kid, so that's probably why it became a habit he can't shake. Well, it's thanks to that hypervigilance that helped take down the kobold. If anything, the girl believes they will work well together, asking if he's exploring alone. Mitrov tells her that he's just a rookie, and what a coincidence, she is too. Finally, she introduces herself as Gracie and says that she used to be a hunter from the Forest of Swits. As for her, she needs to reach the 5th floor of the labyrinth no matter what. So if he's looking for a trustworthy companion, how about they form a party together? If it's Mitrov, she knows she can trust him. Our hero looks at her straight in the eyes while speaking and sees how her eyes are clear and determined. At that moment, he remembers all the bad things said to him and how people always looked at him with cold dagger-like eyes. Unlike them, Gracie's eyes are different. This is the first time someone has looked at him like this. Mitrov introduces himself and briefly shares how he was just cast away from his family. Like her, he thinks he can trust her too. He's happy to join her since exploring the labyrinth alone is terrifying, but with Gracie around, he feels more confident. She smiles upon hearing that. Cut to the next scene, our boy is now enjoying a drink at the tavern. It's his first time there, and more than anything, he's really glad that Gracie is here. Plus, he wasn't aware that there was a lot to take care of after coming back from the labyrinth. He had also received his reward for killing the goblin and the kobold. Along with that, he also received his very own guild card with his name on it. All of these are things he never could have if he were still a noble. Just then, he hears Gracie's voice, carrying several plates of food. She tells him that it's her treat for tonight, as thanks for saving her. Mitrov's face instantly lights up as he sees the food. But then he catches himself, acting reserved, telling her that he must decline her offer. The thought alone is enough for him, and besides, she's the one who saved him first. He may say no, but his stomach growling says yes. So what's a hungry boy to do? Eat, of course. Gracie takes a seat and urges him to eat as much as he can. But before that, cheers. There's stir-fried chicken, vegetable stew with mushrooms, and warm bread with a nut-filled salad. Mitrov has no idea what kind of meat this is or who cooked it, but back at home something like this would have been absolutely unacceptable in noble circles. But does that even matter now? He's an adventurer now and the food is delicious. Most importantly, Mitrov made it through today by his strength and bought this meal with his own hard-earned money, so no one can look down on him anymore. Right beside him is a comrade who fought through life and death with him. Speaking of his seatmate, Gracie says he shouldn't act so reserved and urges him to order more. After all, a growing boy should eat plenty. He's happy to hear her concern for him, but honestly, he needs to get rid of his extra fat. It's getting in the way during his fight, you know. As it stands, he might as well use this chance to lose weight. If that's what he wants, then Gracie doesn't force him, applauding him for having a good mindset. And once again, Mitrov's stomach betrays him, as it starts growling again. Gracie does the honor and orders another plate of meat for Mitrov, while our boy stuffs his face with more meat. Well, having a cheat day is fine, right? For the first time today he tasted the joy of a meal earned through his hard work, and it's the best feeling ever. While still eating, Gracie just thought of something. Is Mitrov not planning on upgrading his equipment anytime soon? When they go exploring the labyrinth, of course, Mitrov uses the sword while she uses her bow. As such, that naturally puts him in the vanguard while Gracie covers the rear. The formation they had earlier worked well in their previous fight, right? However, being a vanguard also means he's more likely to get injured, so he needs proper protection or even armor to handle that. Now that she mentions it, Mitrov admits that he has been neglecting his defense. So he asks if it's wise to get some armor to address the issue. Gracie thinks that would be hard to do and carefully brings up Mitrov's physique. Finding an armor that fits his build won't be easy. She's right, you know, and it just makes him more intent on losing weight. Gracie ponders for a bit while he asks if there are any other armors out there that would work for him. To that, Gracie suggests he could go for reinforced leather to protect his vital areas, and of course a shield would work too. Mitrov also thinks that it's a nice option since it would quickly help him defend against a swift attack of monsters. He still has some money left, so he might as well invest it in his safety. He turns to Gracie asking her how much she thinks he needs for that. It's quite hard to say since it really depends on what he plans to get. Wait a minute, is he planning to pay for everything by himself? Mitrov answers yes, since this is his problem, isn't it? Gracie slams her fists on the table, angry that he has already forgotten that they're at a party now. For that, she insists on covering half the cost. Since they're in this together, this isn't just Mitrov's problem, it's a matter that concerns them both. Mitrov caves in and accepts her help, promising to cover half of her equipment too. Moreover, he also took it upon himself to handle the food expenses. It's a non-negotiable. Gracie can only chuckle and agree. All right, she suggests they head out shopping tomorrow. Then, the next day, Mitrov stands in awe at one of the shop fronts since he has never seen so many different kinds of weapons in one place. He eyed a particular shield and was just about to buy it when Gracie held him back. Is he seriously planning on buying equipment at such an expensive store? She motions for him to take a good look at the shop's entrance. See that? There's a doorman, signifying that it's one of the higher-end shops. She reminds him of his novice standing and that he should shop within his budget. Guess he still has some noble habits he needs to shake off, huh? Mitrov makes a mental note to be more careful. Meanwhile, Gracie takes it upon herself to choose the shop. But first things first, she asks if he knows what dwarves are, and fortunately he does. Dwarves are master craftsmen known for being gruff and stubborn. So if they want quality gear at a fair price, a dwarven ship is their best bet. They walk further into the city until Gracie finally leads them to a certain shop. As soon as they enter, a young boy greets them and offers help. Gracie tells this boy that they're looking for decent armor, and since they're already here, she suggests Mitrov should also get his sword maintained. Upon hearing that word, a dwarven blacksmith appears and asks to see Mitrov's sword. The boy lights up upon seeing his master while our hero stares in awe. So that's what a dwarf looks like. The older man is short, but his body is made of pure muscle from years of smithing. More than anything, he's got an overwhelming presence. The master blacksmith looms over Mitrov, asking if he's deaf, so he repeats to let him see the sword again. Mitrov hands it over quickly, and thus begins the dwarf's assessment of it. He could easily tell that Mitrov's weapon is made of good iron, has a solid weight for a rapier, and is well balanced. Additionally, he says it's perfect for cutting down monsters, and that the sword has no chips, bends, and is pretty well made. With that, he returns the sword to our hero, saying he could cut down 100 small fry with this, and it still won't need maintenance. Mitrov thanks him for the assessment, while Gracie goes off about how dwarves are always more interested in metal than people. They speak passionately about iron but couldn't care less about people. Mitrov looks at the dwarf again, who had resumed work just now. Gracie may say they're like that, but it's pretty obvious that the master blacksmith loves iron genuinely. The boy apologizes to them on behalf of his master, explaining that the latter may be blunt but assures them that his skills are the best. Mitrov's not too bothered by the dwarf's straightforwardness, but he is curious if their shop has any shields. The boy suggests they head over to Melun's workshop across the street. They're known for their excellent armor. Oh, but there's a bit of a problem there. Soon Mitrov and Gracie head to Melun's, and it's just as the boy said, there is a bit of a problem. Melun, an older lady, tells Mitrov straight up that there's barely anything in her shop that could fit a half-troll like him. In our chubby boy's defense, he doesn't want the whole armor, but before he could say what it is he wants, Gracie cuts in and calls her out for being rude. Huh? This time it's Melun who takes issue with that because first of all, the pair hasn't even tossed a single copper her way. Besides, what she just said is true, right? Anyone can see the chubby boy really is lugging all that extra weight around. Most important of all, customers are supposed to pay. Of course, Gracie is quick to jump on his defense like, yeah, sure, Mitrov may look a little too healthy, but he moves pretty fast, you know? And they do intend to buy something from the shop, so Melun should mind her manners. Melun's appalled at how gutsy Gracie is, but okay, fine. Just tell her what they want. Gracie quickly tells Melun to tell the seller what he wants. Trying to defuse the situation with a smile, he calmly tells the older woman that he needs a small shield to defend against monsters. A small shield? Melun approaches him and slaps his chest, causing Mitrov to cry out in pain. Is this kid trying to get himself killed? He probably thinks that a small shield was a good idea because it's light and it'll be easy to use, but blocking is much harder than he thinks. Small shields require skill to deflect attacks. Upon hearing that, Mitrov tells her that maybe a bigger shield would work, right? But his suggestion just made Melun angrier. Honestly, just what is this kid? With those arms of his, he could barely lift, and he doesn't look strong enough to wield a heavy shield properly. Plus, with all that extra weight slowing him down, he'll be a sitting duck. With that said, Melun says she'll have to find something more suitable for him and motions to the layered thick gauntlets on display. She explains that the skins on those gauntlets are studded together so they don't interfere with the movement of his arm. It's not as strong as iron, but more than enough for fending off low-level monsters. Mitrov tells her that he'll take those, much to Gracie's surprise. He's just gonna buy them just like that? Well, why not? The gauntlet sounds good, and they're exactly what he needs. Gracie understands, but shouldn't he try to negotiate the price? To that he says a paying customer makes the decision first, so he'll just buy first and save the chatter for later. Hey, Melun is impressed. What he said actually makes sense. With that, she tells him to come with her so she can fit the gauntlet on him. She measures him, saying the leather will soften over time. Now fitted with the gauntlets, Mitrov looks at them in awe because finally he feels like a legit adventurer. It's neither expensive nor fancy, but it shines brighter than anything he owned when he was a noble. Mitrov turns to Gracie and thanks her. Seeing his reaction, Gracie's happy to see that he likes it. She's even more surprised by his quick decision, but now that he bought it, even she has to admit that it's a fine item. Before they exited the shop, our hero told Melun that he had a very great experience thanking the older woman, and that they would be back soon. Melun says the pleasure is all hers. Once outside, Mitrov realizes that he's the only one who bought something, so he asks Gracie if there's anything she wants. She ponders for a bit, but so far she can't think of any. She doesn't need any equipment, but if she had to choose, she would ask if he would care for a little company. He agrees and asks where to when Gracie grabs his hand, promising to take him to paradise. Finally, they reach the place. Mitrov looks at the place with wide eyes because what is this place? Ta-da! They're at a public bath. He's amazed at the place, and Gracie couldn't agree more. It's always lively, like a festival that never ends. Just stepping inside fills her with energy. That sounds swell and all, but why did Gracie bring him here? Gracie figures that since they had a great time shopping together today, she'd like to share one of her favorite pastimes with him. With that, she heads to the front desk and buys 2 entries. After that, she throws him a soap and a towel, and with that she tells him that this is where they part ways for now. She tells him that once he steps into the bath he'll lose track of time, and with that she leaves him by himself. Mitrov calls out to her, but nope, our boy is now all by himself. Well, it's not like he can do anything about it, so he might as well enjoy his time here now. Mitrov heads inside and is in disbelief at how many people are there, both adults and kids. He strips off his clothes and heads straight to the bath. Wow, it's pretty spacious inside. The exterior was impressive, but the interior was even better than he imagined. He starts cleaning himself, thinking how lately he only had time to wipe himself down with a wet cloth. But a real bath like this? It's like washing away all of his fatigue. Once he scrubbed himself clean of dirt and grime, he headed to the tub where he could soak. As soon as he dips himself, he cries out in pleasure. That feels so good. Now he can see why people lose track of time here, and it feels pointless to worry about the time. Gracie must be melting away in relaxation right about now. Just then, a beastman approaches Mitrov, asking if he could join him. Our hero just stares at the beastman, speechless, prompting the latter to ask if this was his first time seeing a beastman. Mitrov apologizes for staring rudely. It's just that he has never seen someone from the Leonhead tribe before. The beastman isn't surprised to hear that. After all, their tribe doesn't usually settle in town. But as for him, well, he's an odd one. The first time he bathed in town, he fell in love with it. His friends already gotten fed up and left home while he stayed behind. The beastman goes on to say how the town has a labyrinth and even incredible food. Plus you earn money, eat meals, and enjoy the hot baths here. Isn't this what they call the joy of living? Upon hearing all that, Mitrov can see himself settling down here someday and enjoying it. When he heard that, the beastman asked if he was new in town, saying this place lets him choose his path freely. In fact, he's pretty sure our boy Mitrov will also find joy here. After a moment of silence, the two just enjoy the warm bath together. After a while, they get out of the water. At the locker room, the beastman shares something he likes to do with Mitrov, urging the latter to try the milk ale. He promises the boy that it will make him feel like he's on cloud 9. Mitrov grabs the drink and looks at it curiously before taking a gulp. Indeed, it really is delicious. It looks just like milk, but it tastes like beer. There's a slight fermentation and gentle fizz tingle on his throat. The more he drinks it, the more it seems to seep into every corner of his warmed-up body. It's hard to believe this stuff is legal. The beastman follows up, asking our hero if he actually felt like he was in cloud 9 when he drank it. But Mitrov is already thinking about how he never would have tasted something like this if he remained a model. Sure, becoming an adventurer was hard and he spent so much time dwelling on the cons, but in reality this world is full of new experiences and fascinating people. This just leaves him even more excited to see what else is out there. Like meeting new people, you know? He's so pleased with the experience that Mitrov reckons he'll go here every day and make sure to drink milk ale each time. He thanks the beastman for showing something wonderful to him and the latter smiles, glad to see that he likes it. With that, he takes his leave. Now refreshed, Mitrov and Gracie head back to the labyrinth. And right now, she tells him not to move, then gives the go signal a second later. Mitrov thrusts his sword through the monster's head, instantly taking it down. Gracie commends him for a job well done, and our hero thinks that he's getting the hang of this. Plus he handles things more calmly than before. Gracie thinks that must be the effect of sublimation. Huh? Sublimation? If he recalls correctly, that's a change in the body that is triggered after killing monsters, right? Gracie tells him that he's correct and adds that the effects vary from person to person. Mitrov may think that he's calmer, but in reality this may be because his composure is enhanced. Of course, most of the credit goes to his own efforts, so he should be proud of himself. That's nice to hear and all, but Mitrov also knows that the only reason he can face the monsters is because of Gracie's guidance. He recalls how in the beginning he was paralyzed by fear of fighting something unknown, but he's not alone anymore. Gracie is with him now. He never realized how much courage fighting alongside comrades could give him. And to his surprise, he's even starting to enjoy the battles. Mitrov can feel himself growing stronger through gained experience, and it fills him with a sense of joy he didn't expect. Currently, he admits that he's still inexperienced, but just give him time. He'll prove himself a vanguard that Gracie can depend on. She's pleased to hear that, hoping he keeps up the good work so she can continue to count on him. With that, the two of them push further into the labyrinth. Given that it's a labyrinth, there are a lot of pocket spaces that they explore curiously until they find a literal hole in the wall on the fourth lower floor. Gracie finds it strange since it's not marked on the map, asking if Mitrov thinks it's best to head back for now. Our hero agrees, but suddenly something caught his eye. There's a treasure chest in the middle of the room. The two exchange glances before Mitrov approaches it, intent on opening the chest. Inside it is a book. No, it's a relic. When he hears the term, he asks Gracie if it's the same as a demon sword. Well, that's the most famous example, but she points out that relics come in all sorts of forms. They're items left behind by adventurers who once explored this labyrinth a long time ago. They range from armor to tableware. They're highly valuable, and some nobles even collect them. This just means that this book must have belonged to an adventurer from a long time ago, and it might be worth something. Mitrov can estimate the value of swords and ornaments, but for books it's hard to judge their worth without reading them. Just when he was about to touch it, Gracie pulled him back and scolded him. He's a real idiot for trying to touch an unknown relic with his bare hands. He had to ask if it's a bad idea, and of course it is. She had to explicitly point out the radiating ominous aura from the book. Plus, it's not just an ordinary relic, it could be cursed. It's said that the ancient times were filled with powerful mages, and history says relics still carry the magic or curses they cast. If you touch it and get cursed, there's no mage alive today who can save you. And once he's cursed, he's practically as good as dead. Heck, he might even turn into a monster. Now that she said it like this, it is pretty scary. Crap, he almost went and did it. Why didn't Gracie warn him sooner? Well, in her defense, that's why she stopped him in the first place. But with this, they finally agreed to just leave the treasure chest alone. But relics, huh? And this cursed chest too. Once again, Mitrov is amazed at how the labyrinth is full of unimaginable dangers that he doesn't know. With that, they exit the room through the same hole they discovered earlier. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the labyrinth, someone is panting hard and is on the run. Goblins are chasing this figure and they need to call for help. In their mind, they desperately call for someone's help, and as if God intended it, he sees our duo right before him. Mitrov and Gracie stop dead in their tracks, shocked to see a hooded skeleton before them. The latter, on the other hand, desperately pleads for their help. It's pretty crazy to think that not too long ago Mitrov was a noble, and now he's an adventurer. In the depths of the labyrinth, he found his first true companion, Gracie. Today they encounter a talking skeleton, one that approached them, asking for help. The talking skeleton repeats her plea, while Mitrov can't seem to wrap his head around the idea of a talking skeleton. Just then, he notices 2 goblins right behind the skeleton. So that's it, the skeleton was being chased by goblins. Gracie moves quickly, saying they should help, and volunteers to cover his 6. As for Mitrov, he taunts the goblins and gets their attention. One of the goblins attacks him, and it's all the window Gracie needs as she fires 2 consecutive arrows and takes them down with a headshot. The skeleton is amazed. These 2 took down the goblins in mere moments. After the fight, Gracie approaches the former, asking if they're all right. The skeleton assures them that they are and is at a loss for words on how they could thank the duo. Gracie tells the skeleton that they shouldn't worry about it, the pair of them is just adventurers who are doing their job. And like what she told Mitrov before, they look out for each other here in the labyrinth. She turns to Mitrov, but our hero admits that he was hesitant for a moment, admitting that he got scared upon seeing the skeleton. Gracie admires how pretty and honest her partner is, and the skeleton also understands. It's only natural to grow fearful seeing something like them. You see, when people see this skeleton, most of them either attack or run away. Gracie pities the poor thing for living such a rough life. Anyway, Gracie introduces themselves and asks for the skeleton's name. Before the skeleton does that, they remove their hood and say their name is Canel. She may look like this now, but Canel wasn't always a skeleton. Gracie asks a follow-up. So Canel is not undead, then? Actually, Canel reveals that she's known as a marked child. Of course, Mitrov has no idea what that is, so Gracie explains. The term marked child refers to those who have been cursed by an ancient relic infused with powerful magic, or from the moment they were born. Gracie's not too surprised that Mitrov's not aware of marked children, especially since most people go their entire lives without meeting one. Wait a minute, Mitrov has to clarify something. So does that mean that the relic's curse turned Canel into this? Canel confirms that he is correct. All this time she has been searching for clues in the labyrinth to break the curse and return to her original form. Unfortunately, she hasn't found anything yet. Mitrov remembers what Gracie told him before, how relics and the curse are remnants of ancient times, meaning unraveling them is no simple feat. Now that they're talking, Canel actually has a favor to ask. Can she join their party? She could be their porter, promising to help them carry things and help however she can. Mitrov's a little taken aback at her request. And even Canel is aware that she's asking a lot, given how they just saved her recently. But given how she looks, she can't register as an adventurer, and exploring the labyrinth alone is too dangerous. Technically there aren't any rules against hiring a porter. Besides, having a porter would allow them to carry more supplies and extend their exploration. But Mitrov flat out tells her that he can't accept her request. Gracie is shocked, but Canel didn't fuss about it. She understands. She puts her hood back on, saying that traveling with someone like her would only be a burden, right? Mitrov tells her that's not it. He explains that this isn't something he can decide on the spot, it's a matter of life and death after all. What he said is true though, this isn't as simple as ordering a servant like when he was a noble. Hiring a porter means taking responsibility for their life too. Canel understands. If that's the case, then she will wait here at the same time tomorrow to hear what he has to say, hoping Mitrov will change his mind. With that, the 2 exit the labyrinth while Canel remains. Back at the inn, Mitrov lies in bed staring at the ceiling. He thinks about Canel and how she's all alone. She's just like him when he first arrived in town. No one to rely on and no familiar faces. Back then, he remembers how he couldn't bear the loneliness and cried the whole night. Things only changed when he met Gracie. Just like that, exploring the labyrinth, meeting new people and discovering new places, they weren't so scary anymore when he had someone by his side. All the fear he had before was gone. Now that he realizes it, he hopes he can help Canel and take that fear away from her too. But the thing is, he doesn't know how strong Canel is. After all, he has to be sure he can protect them, and right now he can't guarantee that. Arg! All this thinking just stresses him out, groaning in frustration that the person next door bangs on the wall again, telling him to shut up. The next day, the 2 return to the labyrinth's lower 4th floor. Gracie quickly notices how he looks like hell. It's pretty obvious Mitrov didn't sleep a wink last night. He admits that he hasn't and relays how he was up all night thinking about Canel's offer. So he asks Gracie what she thinks. The latter says she trusts Mitrov's judgment, so she'll just follow along on whatever he decides. He thanks her for her support, and Gracie actually knows that Mitrov already has an answer. That takes him aback, with Gracie continuing that it's about time for their appointment, so they should head to where Canel is now. Gracie hadn't even finished her sentence when the wall behind her exploded. What the? They both turn and see a giant troll burst through the wall and now standing behind them. Mitrov stands frozen when suddenly the troll hurls a giant rock at him. Our hero snaps back in time to avoid the attack, but more importantly, why is a troll here on the 4th floor? Gracie finally notices what the troll is holding. It's a bloodied kobold. Wait, the troll is eating a kobold. While the troll is still distracted, Mitrov uses this chance to attack its side. The monster turns to him and starts swatting. Crap, they don't have time for this. Canel is waiting for them. Just then, the troll swats Mitrov hard, sending him flying and crashing into the nearest wall. Gracie cries out to warn him just as the troll starts approaching our hero. He was still on the ground, thinking about how this troll has a pretty insane strength, But that's when Mitrov executed a surprise attack, cutting off the troll's arm in one swift move. Huh? They both may be fat, but Mitrov is much faster. The troll howls in pain, stopping in its tracks, so Mitrov signals Gracie to do it now. She fires her arrow, and it hits the monster's left eye. Mitrov watches, asking if that would do, but Gracie says no, at least not yet. The troll started walking away from them while the two stood and watched it go. After 2 seconds, they had to confirm to each other that the monster had run away. Right? As soon as they thought so, both of them collapsed to the ground, tired from the recent fight. They suddenly burst out laughing, as the relief finally hit them all at once. Mitrov thanks her because if not for Gracie, he'd be dead. She tells him likewise and that she owes her one. Well, enough of that. She gets up saying they should go now and see Canel, saying they shouldn't keep her waiting for too long. Mitrov thinks so too, and yes, he also has his answer. Honestly, he's not sure if they can protect Canel, but what he does know is that having companions is always better than being alone. Now that he understands what truly matters, there's only one thing he has to do. As for Canel, just like she said, she waits at the same location as yesterday. She's been waiting for a while, but from the looks of it, her request must not have been granted after all. She was about to turn and go when she heard Mitrov call her name. After catching his breath for a bit, he smiles, extending his hand and asking if she would like to join them. Just like that, Mitrov asks Canel if she would like to join their party. After all, they need her strength. The latter is taken aback by the request and has to ask our hero if he's really sure about that. Although she was indeed the first one to ask if she could join them, she tells him that taking her in may not reap many benefits. Besides, there's also the chance that adventurers might mistake her for a monster and attack her. Speaking of monsters, Mitrov shares that they had actually just finished battling a troll. Wait, a troll? Canel couldn't believe such a strong monster was on this floor. Mitrov himself is also surprised, but the thing is, the troll got away in the end. Fighting that monster made him realize how strong it was, and that if he were alone, he wouldn't have even thought about fighting it. And yet, because he was with Gracie, his friend, he found the courage to stand and fight, thinking they could definitely win against the troll. With that said, he knows that Canel must have been alone, anxious and scared until now. But from now on, he promises that they're all in this together. Gracie agrees, assuring her that her looks do not matter. For all it's worth, they're both ready to lend her their strength. Canel feels so touched by the two's support, but actually Mitrov says that Canel's joining them also benefits them too. You see, if they can defeat that troll, they can gather a lot of materials for sure, so it would be great to have a porter at a time like that. Canel agrees, and the two shake hands. And then, there were 3. Now that they've accomplished what they came for, Mitrov asks if Canel's coming back with them since they're wrapping up for today. The latter appreciates the offer, but she has other things to do and suggests they go their separate ways for today. She bows, excited to start working with them tomorrow. But just before she went her way, she looked back and promised Mitrov that she would do her best. Mitrov promises the same, then turns to Gracie and says things are going to get busy from now on. Since everything is settled now, he asks Gracie if they should also head back now. But as he was walking away, Gracie quickly called out to him asking if he was free, because if yes, she wants him to accompany her for a little bit. Fast forward to later, the two meet up again with Mitrov asking what she wants him for. Gracie actually just wants to talk with him for a little bit. With a new companion joining them, she thinks she should properly tell him about herself beforehand. Now that he thinks about it, they only ever talk about the labyrinth, and he has never actually asked about her personally. She begins by sharing that the elf race is a clan of star readers. She tells him how the stars show them everything, like the correct way to live and even one's mission. She points to a certain star in the night sky. They study its position, color, and shine, and by interpreting them, her people understand the path they must live by. She goes on about how elves have lived by following that for thousands of years. Here she pauses and asks Mitrov if he finds that old-fashioned. She continues saying how humans say things follow reason, nothing but a combination of movements. They say even the movement of stars is predetermined. Mitrov has heard about astronomy, prompting him to ask Gracie if she thinks that is correct. She admits that kind of talk is a bit difficult for her. However, since she was born as an elf and is living as an elf, she and her people have no choice but to follow the star's decree. Before she can continue, Mitrov turns to her, asking if that was the reason she came to the city. Did she come to the labyrinth because of the star reading? But as soon as he said it, he caught himself, apologizing for being ahead of himself. He admits that he's not good with complicated topics, but he vaguely thought that might be the case. She smiles, appreciative of how sharp he is. Shortly after they met, she told him how she wanted to go to the 5th floor underground. Guided by the star's decree, she came to find ingredients for a certain medicine. Mitrov says that if it's an epidemic, then she should just head to the clinic. Gracie clarifies that the medicine is not for a person, it is for the sickness of the trees. In their forest, there is a tree called the sacred tree. It is said that the Great Spirit once bestowed a blessing upon it, and at the start of the year, they must present its leaves to the royal family. They have handled the agreement with the royal family for ages, but that sacred tree has fallen ill. The leaf tips began to wither. Before she would continue, Gracie looked around to check if they were alone. Mitrov wonders if the reason Grash purposely chose a deserted place for them is that what she's about to say is important. So if others were to find out about this, Mitrov asks what will happen if the sacred tree doesn't recover. Gracie says they would likely be driven from the forest. To the elves, the forest is a home, a blessing, and a friend, because they manage the sacred tree as beings close to the forest. To live in that land in the sanctuary, their residence is permitted due to that duty. If it turns out they cannot manage the forest despite that, it would be decided that the elves are unfit to live in the forest. Mitrov can't believe they'd be chased from their homeland. He thanks her for sharing such an important story with him, asking why she chose to do so. Gracie smiles and tells him that it's because she trusts him. If anything, he should be grateful because he is the first outsider she has revealed this to. Anyway, this is why she's searching for medicinal ingredients. She may cause him trouble, but she would be most happy if he would lend her his strength. Since it's getting late, she suggests they should head back to the inn. But when she turns to look at him, he is doubled over. Mitrov has been holding his breath and has just finally released it. Gracie is startled, asking him what's wrong. Was this story too heavy for him? Mitrov says that's not it. He's just happy, really happy right now, since Gracie relies on him. It just makes him so happy. He believes he understands just how important this is to her, assuring her that he's fine right now and that she's just really over the moon. Of course, even he's aware of how he's acting rudely right now. Still, he wants to hear about this story properly this time. Gracie obliges him while Mitrov promises to be her strength so she can rely on him more. The next day, they head back to the labyrinth to meet with Canel. Now that the trio is together, Mitrov asks her about the shield she's carrying. Oh, this shield. Actually, she shares how her errand yesterday was to prepare this shield, which she procured at the armor shop. She asks if it's okay with him, promising that it won't get in the way of carrying luggage. From what Gracie has heard, porters also prepare equipment, so she thinks this setup is fine. Mitrov is just concerned if the shield is heavy for Canel. The latter assures him that she's much stronger now than when she was human, which may be a side effect of her form. Canel is pretty confident that she won't lose in a pushing match against monsters. Mitrov feels reassured with her saying that, and as if on cue, a kobold suddenly appeared. Gracie is the first to move, telling the other two that they should split up. She fires her arrow, but it does nothing to harm the monster. The kobold goes straight to Mitrov, attacking him, but the latter blocks with his arm. The kobold then went past him and rushed straight to Canel, but to everyone's shock, Canel uses the shield to push the kobold back, keeping true to her promise that she won't lose even to a monster. Mitrov and Gracie can't believe it. Canel knocked down the kobold with just the shield. Mitrov can't believe the kobold is out cold right now, but Gracie believes now is their chance. Quick! Does anyone have a knife so they can finish it off before it wakes up? Canel says she has one in her bag, but she's more concerned that she reacted first without thinking. Mitrov assures her that she's a big help. While Gracie finishes off the kobold, she can't help but ask how Canel is kind of wasted as a mere porter. Canel assures them that she's okay as she is. Since she is their porter, she will focus on supporting them both and she'll do her very best in doing so. Well, if that's what she wants to do, both Mitrov and Gracie are assured to hear that. Continuing their exploration, they find the same hole from yesterday that leads to a room. They decide to rest there for a bit. Gracie collapses on the floor, tired from exploring the dungeon. She takes her boots off, seeing how she could feel the fatigue go right through her bones. She turns to Mitrov, suggesting he do the same as well since resting when able is vital. He plops right down next to her because he believes they should follow the hunter's wisdom. But you know what? Gracie is right. Removing his boot is refreshing. He feels much lighter now. Mitrov is already relishing how this short break feels like heaven. Gracie suggests Canel does the same too. She must be exhausted too, right? Canel tells them both that she hasn't done anything. Well, Gracie finds it rather distracting if Canel just stands there. Oh, Mitrov never thought of it that way. Though Gracie had to ask if he thought Canel was just a mere servant. To be fair, Mitrov has no idea how to treat a simple porter. Old habits sure die hard, no? For most of his life, someone has always been standing by his side, so he didn't even notice. Gracie frowns and tells him that she has no intention of treating Canel like a servant, and Mitrov says he also doesn't want to do that as well. He apologizes to Canel, but the latter tells them not to worry about it, but Mitrov insists, urging her to rest. Since everything is settled, Gracie suggests they have their meal now. At the mention of food, Mitrov perks up. He is absolutely starving after all. Seeing his excitement, Canel rummages through her rucksack and hands him her adventurer's rations. Mitrov's face has never fallen that fast, holding the piece of bread in his hand. In a voice, he asks if adventurers use bread as a weapon. Gracie points out that this is likely better than most, but is it really? This bread is baked rock hard, it's practically a stone. He should be grateful that they even have something to eat. She points out how eating is merely a function to provide fuel for the body. Upon hearing that, Mitrov grabs her by the shoulders, explicitly telling her that a meal is meant to be enjoyed. This fuel she speaks of? It's far too bleak. At that, Canel cuts through the conversation and tells them she has the tools. Did Canel actually bring cooking utensils into the dungeon? More importantly, does she know how to cook? Suddenly the two were all over their skeleton friend as she answered their query. Yes, she brought cooking utensils, and yes, she can cook. Mitrov is far too impressed upon knowing that she's a cook, though Canel clarifies that she just dabbles in cooking. Mitrov doesn't care. What he wants to know is if she can cook something right now. Canel happily obliges, procuring a burner from her rucksack, a tool Gracie is not too familiar with. From what Canel heard, peddlers often use them since it makes starting a fire easier. Mitrov and Gracie agree that it's quite a convenient tool. Our hero doesn't even know that such a thing existed. This is an excellent tool that turns any place into a kitchen so they can enjoy Canel's cooking. This makes the latter happy and excited to make something yummy for her companions. Canel starts chopping the vegetables and cooking their food, and before long, it's almost ready. Mitrov and Gracie are impressed because obviously Canel is quite the skilled cook. It got Mitrov wondering if her pack is filled with nothing but cookware, commending her for her excellent cooking skills. Canel hands him a bowl, sharing how, since she cannot consume food in her current form, she has not tasted it. With that said, she tells them to just tell her if they don't like it. Mitrov takes the bowl, asking what the dish is called. Canel calls the dish black rye bread risotto. Whatever it may be called, it's pretty obvious that it's much better than those tasteless, odorless rations. Mitrov and Gracie each take a spoonful and take a bite of it. As soon as the food hits his taste buds, Mitrov cries out in happiness, "It's delicious!" The stewed bread is soft and it's just like porridge. The rich flavor of melted cheese and the savory roasted meat permeate his exhausted body. Gracie agrees on how tasty it is. It's a bit salty, but it's just perfect after all the exertion they did. Oh, Canel didn't know that the flavor was too salty, but Gracie believes it's because of the dried meat. Adventurers lose salt when they sweat, so dried meat is cured with extra salt. Canel makes a mental note to keep that in mind. While they were talking, Mitrov was already done with his bowl. After all, it's leagues apart from the rations. Gracie's shocked at how fast he ate, but it's because it was so delicious. Mitrov even goes as far as to say that he could eat this forever. Canel is happy to hear that because it just shows it's worth the effort. In fact, he tells her up front how he wants to eat her cooking every day, especially since the food at the inn is terrible. Both Canel and Gracie yelp, with the latter hitting Mitrov. This boy for real. Gracie had to explain to him that what he just said is a common cliché for marriage proposals among the common folk. Oh no. Mitrov apologizes because he had no idea. Canel doesn't mind at all. It's just that she was startled to hear that. Gracie can only laugh, but oh well. Despite being underground, she finds the company is pretty lively, no? After their meal, they continue with their dungeon exploration. Soon enough, they stumble upon a familiar hole in the wall again. Have they passed by this way before? They have, actually. Mitrov peers inside and sees the familiar cursed chest from before. Well, look at that. Meeting it again must be fate. He turns to Gracie asking if they can take it back. She had to remind him that the chest is a cursed object. To that, he points out that it's still an artifact, regardless of whether it's cursed or not. Plus, taking it back would fetch a handsome sum, would it not? Submitting it to the guild brings merit, and many adventurers take them back for that reason. Still, Gracie is dubious about whether taking it is worth the risk. If Mitrov were to bring this relic back, rumors might reach the estate and his father might see it. The thought of reconciling with his father stirs his emotions, which is why he tells both Gracie and Canel that he must prove himself. He's well aware of the danger, but he's insistent on taking it. Is there no way for them to carry it back? He promises to take full responsibility for carrying it, and he will not let this burden the two. Well, if Mitrov really wants to, Canel snatches the chest and takes it with both hands. Both Gracie and Mitrov are shocked. That's dangerous. But to their surprise, nothing happened. Huh? To that, Canel explains that she has studied cursed objects, so it should be safe if she carries the box. Both Mitrov and Gracie heave a sigh of relief. If nothing had happened, Canel should have told them in the first place. She nearly gave him a heart attack. Since it's safe to carry, they should return to the surface now and have the guild appraise it. Mitrov thanks Canel for going along with his selfishness, but like always, she's always just happy to be of service. Now that the cursed object is settled, Mitrov asks if they should look at what else they could find. But just around the corner, Gracie notices something. They finally found it. The stairs to the 5th floor. They can go now, right? Since Canel joined their party, their team has become quite stable. There won't be any problems if they proceed deeper, right? Canel is happy to be of service to them, while Gracie thanks Mitrov for indulging her. Huh? This just confuses him because why is she thanking him? It is merely a whim, but still Mitrov went along. The three of them head to the 5th floor. As they go down, he thinks about how they can gather the ingredients to cure the holy tree, just as Gracie said. Now he can actually grant Gracie's wish. But wait, what happens to Gracie then? Once they get the ingredients she needs, she will have no reason to dive into the dungeon, and if he's recognized by his father when that time comes, will this partly dissolve? But suddenly he hears an unfamiliar voice that yanks him out of his thoughts. Mitrov turns and sees another adventurer party asking if they have a minute. The party of adventurers approaches our trio, with their leader wearing a friendly smile. Gracie is curious as to what's going on. Mitrov is also wary because who are these people suddenly talking to him? Fighting in the guild is forbidden, but he makes a mental note to keep his guard up and watch the members of the opposite party. From the looks of it, they seem to be about the same age as him. This boy standing before Mitrov seems to be their leader. Then there's a dwarf with a tiny build, a woman carrying a long staff, another woman wearing gray robes and holding a mace, and finally a man carrying a shield as big as him. But this boy leader of theirs, his aura is completely different. The boy senses Mitrov's wariness, telling the trio to lighten up. They're not here to fight. They just want to ask about a monster, and there's something they need to know. Actually, the guild asked his party to handle it, which is why they're in the middle of searching for this monster. With that said, he asks Mitrov if the latter has heard anything about the sighting on the floors around here. But as soon as he said that, the dwarf with a tiny build tells them there's a toro, a monster, incoming. Well, since they have unwanted company, the boy tells them they'll talk later. Right now, they need to deal with trouble. The monster in question is an ochre boar, and as he draws his sword, he asks Mitrov if this is their first time here on the 5th floor. Before our hero could answer, the boy proudly told him that they'll show him how senior adventurers handle this. The boy calls out to Oaken, the man with the shield, and the latter blocks off the monster, sending it flying straight to their mage. Meanwhile, the dwarf gives their leader, Mikl, a power boost now. The buff goes straight to his sword, and with one swift move, Mikl cuts down the boar. To say Mitrov is amazed is an understatement. The boy is speechless, seeing how the other party's teamwork and swordplay are so advanced. Mikl looks back and gives our hero a thumbs up, proud of their swift victory. Each member of the team moves so fast, so it's no surprise that the whole team is high level. It makes Mitrov wonder if the gap between adventurers really is this big. Just then, the dwarf calls Mikl over, seeing how he injured himself again. Mitrov asks if the dwarf is using magic, and the latter affirms that he is correct. Magic is an ancient mystery, and its strength changes based on the user's will. The one the dwarf is using right now is healing magic, but there are many different kinds, like those that boost perception, attacks, and even defense. Mikl explains that his teammate used magic to boost his power in the last fight too. As for our hero, he's pretty impressed given how he has never met a mage before, so he doesn't know much about it. Upon hearing that, Mikl asks if their trio is new to adventuring. But no matter, once Mitrov's party gets on their level, this stuff will be easy. Anyway, back to business. Mikl explains that the guild sent them there because they're hunting for a troll. It's a troll from the deeper levels, and it was spotted around the 4th or 5th floors. If they leave it as it is, it might start attacking rookies, which is why they're hired to kill it. From what they heard, the troll has an injured eye, so naturally they ask Mitrov if they know anything about it. Wait, one injured eye? Could it be the troll he and Gracie fought and let escape? Gracie leaned closer and was about to ask him the very same thing on his mind, while Mikl continued that the monster wasn't on the 4th floor, so they came down here. But so far, it looks like the monster isn't here either. However, there's obviously a hole smashed through the wall, so the troll has to be around here somewhere, right? Mikl can only wish they run into it soon, given how they didn't exactly let it escape. Mitrov's expression changed as soon as he heard the other say that. Gracie also noticed the change in her companion. As for our hero, he clenches his fist, telling Mikl that they haven't seen any trolls around the area. With that, he marches off, leading the two away from Mikl's party. Gracie bolts straight after Mitrov, while Canel apologizes and bows to the other party before running off after them. Mikl only smiles and waves, urging them to be careful of the troll. The trio continues their dungeon exploration in silence until Gracie can't take it anymore. She tells our hero not to let things bother him, though in his defense, he's not really bothered. He's more like a little surprised. Honestly speaking, he has never felt this way before. For so long, no one expected anything from him since they all believed him to be useless. As a result, he just accepted things without thinking. But what happened just now left him feeling frustrated. Now he wants to show Mikl's party that he can do more to prove and make them understand what he can do. So he tells Gracie and Canel that he wants to take down that troll. He doesn't want the other party to steal the kill. But on the other hand, is it wrong to think that the troll belongs to him? Gracie smiles. She likes that look on his face. And yes, she's on board with his plan to prove them wrong. She even encourages him not to cherish the feeling of not wanting to lose. After all, they were the ones who wounded it first, so that monster is definitely their prey. And just like him, she also wants to finish the job this time. So she says they should challenge that troll again. Mitrov is hesitant, given that they're now on the 5th floor. Gracie whispers to his ear since it looks like he's worried about her goal of searching for ingredients for his potion. She clears it up saying those two are different agendas. Besides, they can find ingredients and hunt the troll at the same time. She turns to Canel asking for confirmation if the latter would help them. Canel says she absolutely would. She is curious though, is the troll they were talking about the one that ran away last time? But wait, she is saying it right? The monster is called a troll? Gracie and Mitrov look at her curiously, with Gracie remembering how Canel wasn't with them before, so they must explain it properly this time. While Gracie is explaining to Canel, Mitrov is struck once again at how he actually has comrades with him now. They lack experience and may not match up to Mikl's party yet, but they'll definitely defeat that troll first. Speaking of Mikl's party, the dwarf member asks their leader if something is wrong. Mikl says it's nothing, it's just that he noticed how Mitrov had a good look on his face when he asked about the troll earlier. He makes a note to ask for our hero's name if they should ever meet again next time. Mitrov, Gracie, and Canel are now exploring B5F, the 5th floor underground. As they walk further, they can feel how the air is filled with tension. The monsters on this floor are blue deer and ochre boars, so Gracie suggests they proceed by fighting them to build experience while they search for the troll. Speaking of monsters, of course, it's only natural they've got an ochre boar as their welcome committee to B5F. It's still pretty fresh on Mitrov's mind how Mikl easily took down an ochre boar earlier, but before he could reminisce more, the monster started charging toward them. Mitrov instructs Canel to dodge it while he intends to draw it in and spot the moment. Given its massive body, one hit from the ochre boar would be devastating. Gracie already has her bow drawn, waiting to take a shot, so that leaves Mitrov to find an opening for her. Our hero evades the monster by a hair's breadth, but he was still knocked down by the wind pressure of the monster as it came charging at him. On the upside, the boar is currently stuck in the wall right behind him. It's stuck because its tusk hit the wall. Gracie finds the situation pretty goofy, but still, this is their chance. She draws her bow back and takes aim, just as the boar manages to free itself and charges straight at her. Pig or not, their opponent is a monster, so a normal draw will just get overpowered by its brute force. Gracie draws her bow to the limit, intending to kill the boar with one shot, taking great care with her timing. Mitrov and Canel watch with bated breath on the side, and just when the boar was a mere 2 feet away from Gracie, she finally releases her arrow and delivers a clean headshot. Instant kill! After the first blood, the trio fought a few more battles, and after growing tired, they decided to take a break. Right now they're having tea in B5F. Well, it's also a good time to do a recap of what they've done so far. Gracie points out how Mitrov has taken down quite a few monsters. Some of them are a bit troublesome, but it's evident that they're making progress. He agrees. They are getting stronger from combat, and they're also getting the hang of killing ochre boars, which is both good news. But more importantly for Mitrov, who knew such wonderful tea existed? He never expected that drinking tea and relaxing in the labyrinth would really blow the fatigue away. He praises Canel again for how helpful she's been to them, and it's something she's pleased to hear. Gracie was also getting worn out from dealing with the monsters on this floor, and she found it thoughtful how Canel packed tea for them. The latter says she saw those being sold at the guild shop. From what she heard, adventurers love drinking this tea during their breaks. She hands Mitrov another cup as a refill, which our hero gratefully accepts. As he takes a sip, he can't help but notice how she brewed it so nicely since the sweetness is just right. To that, she answers that she has a small jar of honey, so she added a bit of that to their drinks. At the mention of honey, Mitrov paused, with Gracie noticing his sudden halt. Is something wrong with the honey? He says that's not it, but in his mind, adding honey to tea is how noble ladies prefer to drink at tea parties. And it's not about simply adding honey. Different teas pair with different amounts and types of honey. So if she's doing this knowing that, then maybe Canel is of noble blood, right? This information distresses him, and it shows on his face. Of course, he knows everyone has their circumstances, whether it's Gracie or Canel. Prying when they haven't offered to tell their story is pretty nosy of him. Just as he threw away the title of a noble's third son, he makes a note to only look at Canel as who she is right now. Mitrov tells her that the tea is delicious and thanks her. The good-natured Canel smiles, pleased. Wait a minute, now that he remembers it, he suggests they head to the guild afterward to get the relic appraised. And that's exactly what they did after their dungeon exploration. The appraisal is pretty quick because they also received the appraisal results within an hour. According to the result, the relic is a grimoire and can do image projection. But just to be sure, Mitrov asks if it's highly valuable. The guild staff member tells him that the relic is rare, but the recorded spell is image projection. So since it is merely lifestyle magic, the value is just so-so. So the relic they picked up is called a grimoire containing ancient wisdom. In the hands of a specially trained mage, it can perform miracles beyond logic. The guild staff member offers to put the grimoire up for auction if Mitrov prefers it, because if yes, then they can proceed with the paperwork. Our hero notes that it's a relic they went to the trouble of finding, so selling it off immediately is rather impulsive. In the end, he asks the staff member if he could have some more time to think it over, and the latter is more than happy to oblige, saying they'll hold on to the grimoire here at the guild. With their business at the guild wrapped up, Canel bids them goodbye. Mitrov waves her goodbye, expecting to meet with her again tomorrow. Then he turns to Gracie and tells her that he's heading straight to the public bathhouse. She asks if she could come along, and of course he says yes. On the way there, Mitrov asks what she thinks of the relic. Well, it's not a huge achievement or anything, but it's the first relic the three of them found. With that said, he asks if she wants to keep it as a memento instead of selling it. But as soon as he said that, he quickly added that Gracie might get angry again, given the relic's dangerous nature. Rather than the relic, there's something else that's bothering her. He's a bit surprised at how serious she is, prompting him to ask her if it's about the medicine. Gracie nods, saying she didn't see any blue deer on B5F today. At the mention of the monster, he asks if those are the creatures from the said floor. Wait a minute, are blue deer an ingredient for the medicine? Gracie tells him that it is correct, but to be more specific, the fawn's antler is the ingredient. Fawn antlers are a special material. They possess tremendous healing power, but they lose their potency 3 days after being cut. From what she heard, they were on the 5th underground floor, and yet she saw nothing but ochre boars. There was not a single blue deer, isn't that strange? On the other hand, they had just barely scratched the surface and had just entered the floor, right? Plus, they're also looking for the troll. She's not sure about the truth, but it does concern her a bit. Soon enough, they reach the public bathhouse. Gracie goes ahead to the ladies' bath, bidding him goodbye, while Mitrov does the same. Our hero strips off his clothing and gets ready to enter the bath. He noticed how Gracie didn't look so good while talking about the blue deer. Suddenly, he hears a familiar voice greet him. Mitrov looks up and sees that it's Mikl. Like him, the latter only has a towel around his waist, and it's pretty obvious our hero is not too happy to see Mikl. Mikl puts his arm over Mitrov's shoulder, saying there's something he wants to ask the other. He leans closer and whispers to Mitrov, asking if she's sleeping with that elf. Our boy is too stunned to speak, and there's Mikl inviting him to go with him to the grand bathhouse. Obviously, the question leaves Mitrov feeling flustered, clarifying to Mikl that they're not like that, and the other was pretty disappointed too. Well, whatever. Actually, he just wanted to have a nice long chat with Mitrov, and with that, he invited our hero to have some naked man-to-man bonding.